Here we go, X30 senior qualifying heat, D versus F. No debate as to what tyres the drivers need to be on. It's going to be wet all the way now, certainly for this particular qualifying heat. And now we can talk through the grid. Clement Outram and Danny Caronini. From Eli Goldstein and Dino Storescu, Jack Nettleship and Louis Johnston-Cool, Diogo Castro and James Shotton, from Aaron Garcia and Joao Diniz, then Angelo Melli and Leonardo Longoni, Lewis Bird and Luca De Grange, Kevin Lantinga, Colin Cronin, David Gonçalves and Francisco Macedo.
They're followed by Luca Federico Rodriguez, Diogo Pinto, as well as Enrico Oliveira, Matthias van der Kerkhove, Johan Aluja, as well as Rafael Rajani, Oren England, François-Xavier Venet, Francisca Queiroz, Aldo Cantrell, Austin Gale, Isabella Bass, Lars Venink, William Lambo, and Oscar Cura. The grid is almost full as the drivers make their way onto the track for the 2 formation lap. 10 laps for the seniors, sorry. The juniors had 7 laps this morning and 6 only for the mini category. Down, of course, to the length of the track here in Portimao, one of the longest layouts that we have in karting, with over 1531 meters of length through 17 corners. 7 meters of difference between the lowest and highest points of this track. A very hilly layout, one of the most technical and certainly fast tracks that those drivers have been experiencing in their life. We had some of the drivers describing the slipstream that they're able to take into the start-finish straight as one of the longest and one of the strongest in their respective career. And it's fair to say that in that sector 1 of the track, look at the spray that is being spread out by the drivers. The track is very much wet. The rain keeps on pouring above our heads. That's going to be very, very treacherous conditions, and some of them struggling a little bit for grip, going the long way around into the down of the track on the other side of our position. But this track of Portimao certainly has been full of surprises, and on that first sector, over 340 meters of length that those guys can attack and take the slipstream on one another. So it has been giving us some intense racing so far. If you're joining us for the first time, well, welcome along. You picked up your timing perfectly, because the conditions have been up and down, from wet to dry all throughout the course of the day. Second day of racing here in Portimao, with the beautiful background of the car track of the Algarve Motorsport Park that used to host the Portuguese Grand Prix a couple of years ago, as the host every year of many international car races.
And I tell you what, it looked beautiful before. It's certainly looking a little bit muggy now, because the weather conditions coming in from the hills has definitely deteriorated. So it's going to be interesting to see if Outram can beat Caronini through the first corner on the first lap. They're now starting to back up the pack. And this is a pretty textbook start. Watch for Goldstein, 3rd on the grid. This is the kind of conditions where he can turn his IWF week around and really start to get himself back into contention. And look, Goldstein's got his hand in the air to gesture to to Clement Outram. He's gone a bit early there, and so they have gone for a false start, and they go around again. The rain is actually pretty heavy now here at Portimao, so with them all being on wet tyres, it's obviously the correct decision, but it's the heaviest certainly that it has been all day so far, so there is really no argument or debate about what compounded tyres these guys need to be on at this point in the weekend.
Let's not forget that Eli Goldstein is a man on a mission, because his previous race went from bad to even worse when he went for wet tires while the track was drying out. Most of the drivers, half of the field on that race, was caught up by surprise and forced to have the most horrible of time into that race. So he didn't make that mistake twice, obviously, but he needs the results. He needs to put up on a charge. And against the likes of Clement Outram and Danny Caronini, this won't be an easy task. Clement Outram lost a win on the edge to Elke Kalteren, the Dutchman, who went on sideways, taking the lead and the win into the last lap, into that corner that we're about to come to. Oh, and mechanical drama already for this is Nettleship from MDL by the look of it.
Yeah, that is very disastrous indeed for Jack Nettleship, who's supposed to be running at the sharp end of the field. He's on the MDL kart, which is the TB kart chassis, but devastating bad luck for Jack Nettleship. His race is already done. So he doesn't even get to start this one, and very bitter disappointment indeed for the British driver. He had mechanical problems for quite a while by the look of it, and then it finally conked out on the second formation lap. So we get to go racing this time by, hopefully. Outram from Caronini, Goldstein from Storescu, and off we go. Good start from Caronini. He's going to draw level and try and go the long way round on Outram. It's not going to happen. Goldstein's got a terrible start as off on the grass. Very nearly a couple of drivers cutting a cropper, and the 2 premium karts are coming forward. 2 karts have spun, 3 karts have gone onto the grass on the initial run down the straight, but it's the premium duo that are first and second. They've cut ahead of Uhtred and Carinini. So Carinini now trying to go the long way round. The premium guys go wide. Uhtred is in the mix there. Goldstein down in P5. So a very dramatic start then in the wet conditions. But Carinini is trying to carry the flow, and he's actually got himself back into the lead of the race round the outside.
Yeah, look at that. Danny Carinini was a little bit concerned about the evolution of the weather, and now he's just showing us that he likes those conditions. Up in the lead for the former winner of the IWF final in 2021, and on his way potentially to first victory. But he's going to have to work that one through. 10 laps to go through. That's going to be a long one for everybody here. But beautifully made by Danny Carinini, as Eli Goldstein struggling a little bit further back. I might have seen that Johnson Cole went through a bit of a trouble on the way to turn number 3 into the opening lap. We might need to see that again, but lap 1 completed, and Danny Carinini pulling away just a tiny bit already.
Well, Johnson Cole was able to recover quite fast and into 4th position, gets it wide round the outside of the final turn. Or at least comes through in P4 in front of, well, what's happened to Goldstein? He's now down behind Diniz and Garcia, actually. So he ran very wide out of the final turn and lost a couple of positions as a result of that. So Goldstein's actually really struggling in the wet conditions at the moment. It's not going his way at all. And so the TB kart driver is actually really struggling to hold the pace. He doesn't seem to have it in the dry or the wet at the moment. So they're going to have to work hard to get him back up to race-winning pace. Either that, or it's just a case of rhythm, because at the moment he's really struggling to get the kart turned in and dialed down. He's managed to get past Joao Diniz at least, so his next target is going to be Aaron Garcia. But he's actually dropped back again, so he's now down to 8th position as he comes through past our position. So problems then as he now drops behind Diniz and Meli. So big problems then for Eli Goldstein. It's not the easiest run for him to try and win his IWF title that has eluded him so many times. Of course, he is an FIA Motorsport Games gold medal winner. He won that last year at Paul Ricard. But it's going to be very tricky to hold on to this sort of pace if the early part of the wet running is to go by. Carinini running in front of Uhtred, and then the two teammates for premium, Stroescu and Johnston Cool. They run very wide as they come off the final turn. That is pretty much the wet line here. Garcia in 5th position now. No, it was. Now it's the CRG of Joao Diniz. So Joao Diniz has got through into 5th position on the CRG. Then it is Aaron Garcia. Then Meli, Goldstein, Longoni, and Kevin Lantinga.
The top 10 at the moment, entering lap number 3 out of 10. Of course, lap times irrelevant at this point. It's about survival for the drivers of the senior class, as apart from the Nettle ship, we do have everybody on board still. Let's keep it that way. And as I said, the 322 unfortunately went sideways a little bit with the CRG machine. And this is Goncalves, the Portuguese from Dino Motorsport, I think, that went wide over there, but he was able to find himself back on track. Here's the battle of the two teammates between Johnson Cole and Dino Stroescu. This is a battle for P3, obviously, and as while going around the inside, Denis Stroescu, beautifully made. Was he able to make that stick on his teammate? Yes, indeed. That'll be a close call, but Stroescu is ahead of Johnson Cole. And in the meantime, while they're battling, they're allowing Denis to get close. That's going to be an interesting toll, as that Carinini and Clément Autran, in the meantime, have really both pulled away from the rest of the pack. 3 seconds is the advantage of the Italian driver, and look at how Denis Stroescu is clipping the curb. So it's Johnson Cole still in the lead in front of Denis Stroescu, who went ahead for a tiny bit before having to back down and allowing Johnson Cole in front again into turn number 3. Still very, very slippery, wet that track is. Clément Autran putting on the fastest lap in the race, trying to decrease the gap that came up to almost a second between himself and Carinini. Perfect start of a race for the Italian driver from Energy Corse, as Clément Autran is trying to survive himself as well, but he has a bit of a gap, 2.3 seconds, which is more than enough to feel comfortable in front of Johnson Cole, Denis Stroescu, Denis, Angelo Meli, Garcia, Roger Lantinga, and Luca De Grange. The top 10 unchanged at the moment, with, of course, Luca De Grange doing a good job, climbing 3 places, 6 places gained for Kevin Lantinga up into P9. We're here back with Danny Carinini, our leader. Did Carinini, of course, win an on-home soul in Adria 2 years ago of that very competition. And one of the names always to keep an eye on, whatever happens for Danny Carinini, who last year took a podium in the IMA Winter Cup. Look at how close Clément Autran just got back on Carinini, clipping the curb into turn number 17. That's going to be an interesting one, as we are halfway through that race, lap number 5 out of 10. And now He had almost a second on Clément Autran, and Danny Carinini just lost a pile of tenths of a second. Fastest lap in the race for Clément Autran in 1:14.9. This is a half of a second indeed faster than Carinini. Maybe could have been a slight mistake of Carinini, and then he takes the lead. So struggle definitely for Danny Carinini. Clément Autran was slightly in the lead for just a few meters, but the exit was better for Carinini, who takes it back.
This all comes down to feel. It all comes down to the natural poise of a driver in these conditions. You have to change the racing line completely. Where you would normally go out wide and turn in tight for the corner, you now have to turn in tight and hug the curbs as you try and coax the kart through the turns. Up the inside, Autran gets another shot on the inside of Carinini, and that hesitation from the energy course is enough to put the VDK driver in front. So Clément Autran has been able to hoodwink Danny Carinini through that tight right apex and gets the position, and it looks to me as though Dino Stroescu just pulled off a similar move on Joao Diniz further back. So nicely done from Clément Autran to get into the lead, and Carinini almost tripping off the road in the penultimate turn. Every single corner is guesswork now, because when the racetrack gets wetter, the line changes dramatically. So Autran has got Carinini chasing him down. Carinini's got better drive off the final turn though. This is going to be about who has the better grip through the next couple of corners. Autran's going to go out wide. Carinini will commit to the inside. Can't get the move on the inside line. So now Carinini has to come back at him. But even though he looks like he's a fair way behind him, this is all down to rhythm. It's all going to come down to natural flow. And Carinini still has plenty of that. Autran holding the lead for the moment for now.
And you can see different lines depending on the corner, as you said, in turn number 3, for instance, and on the outside next, in turn number 4, Clément was quite aggressive on the curve, while Danny Carinini was going slightly around as well, just to get better momentum out of the exits. Different strategies at play, as we hear with the premium karting drivers, Justin Cole and Dino Stroescu, 3rd and 4th respectively, under the pressure of Joao Diniz, one of the local heroes from Portugal, climbing 5 places up within the top 5, and he wants more. And a little bit of a mistake by the look of it from Stroescu, and that could go the way of Diniz indeed. Coming close under the close watch as well from Angelo Melli with the EGP colors. Same team as Ian Aikmans. He's very close now, and another mistake, sliding across the curve, unfortunately, and dropping a place. Dino Stroescu, unfortunately, and then side by side on the way to the number 1. Stroescu on the exit, unfortunately, and Joao Diniz, can he make it stick on the way to the breaking point? Watch out, not quite yet. The slipstream might have helped a little bit Johnson Cole, even though those conditions, it's relative to say.
I tell you what, in these conditions, that's brave, because the two of them absolutely giving each other the room to go racing wheel to wheel. Flat out through turn 1 in the wet conditions, when even the wet tyres don't give you that much grip. Absolutely fantastic from both drivers. Very sporting and very competitive indeed from both men. Stroescu and Diniz challenging each other for 4th position in this one. Behind them is Angelo Melli in 6th position, just trying to hold in front of the Birolat of Aaron Garcia. Eli Goldstein finds himself down in 9th place behind Kevin Lantinga. What is happening at TB Kart for Eli Goldstein? It's just not turning out to be the week he wanted at all. Autran, 1.1 clear of Danny Carinini though, and this really helps him out in terms of his form book, because he's looking at having 9 points staying as his tally at the end of this race. You don't want to add too many points to your tally over the course of a week, because it's like a reverse golf scorecard, essentially. The fewest points is the one that emerges as the top driver at the end of the qualifying heats procedure, at least. A bit of a trip wide again from Stroescu. This time Joao Diniz not close enough to capitalise. You can see the spots of rain falling on the camera lens at various points on the course to show you just how intense the weather has become. But certainly Johnston Cool 3rd, Stroescu 4th, Diniz 5th, Melo in 6th place, then Garcia, Lantinga, Goldstein, Desgrange, Pinto, Bird, Longoni, Schotten and Colin Cronin, who's having a much better race this time, being able to face in the right direction. Let's see if Angelo Melli can get this run on Aaron Garcia. He's certainly got the confidence. Has he got the turn in? No, he hasn't. He hasn't quite been able to get the traction and the power down to be able to move his way past Aaron Garcia. But the battle between the Spaniard and the Belgian is already palpable.
Yeah, turn number 5, you could see those drivers going the long way around in search of grip. And look at him going onto the curb, climbing it into turn number 8 out of 9. Different lines, trying to get it across. But unfortunately, actually the other way around for Angelo Melli, who's losing momentum. As further up, we have Stroescu and Joao Diniz still battling along for P4. 2 battles pretty much in the same picture. Angelo Melli in yellow. And then we have Aaron Garcia. Once again, another attack, a warning sent by Angelo Melli to Joao Diniz. Sorry, to Aaron Garcia with Birard machine. On the inside goes Angelo Melli, not quite able to make it sit just yet. start for the slipstream. Those two are going to try to attack certainly on that first sector, but Angelo Meli too far back, I'm afraid, to surprise his opponent on the way to turn number 3. And same goes for Joan Denis on Dinus Roscu. So it stays as it is. This is lap number 9. As Meli, maybe a slight mistake from Angelo Meli, who was caught on the outside, not taking really the curb, but putting 2 wheels on the dirty side of the track. And yes, he lost momentum as a result, unfortunately for the Belgian driver. As Lantinga, Goldstein and Lucas Degrange are still very much into that top 10. Way back, we have as well the recoveries from Oran England, 10 places up to P15, 12 places gained for Lars Venink up into P19 it is. So some of those drivers putting on the performance in those very difficult conditions, as you might imagine. And it goes the way of Clément Autran, of which we've seen not a lot of TV time, obviously, for Clément Autran. 1.7 seconds in the lead on Danny Carinini. Once he got past ahead of the Italian, there was no stopping the VDK driver, who was left out on his own, leaving the others battling along for the last few crops of the cake.
But from a driver's perspective, that's almost what you want, a nice quiet week at the office. And Autran has just put in a few points here, a few points there, and coming through for a win at this point is actually really critical to his IWF build-up. The rain is relentless here at Portimao. It just will not stop. And this is certainly the wettest it's been at any point over the course of the week so far. Very tricky for the drivers out there, but for any of those that are on the back foot, needing to make some progress and are very good in the wet, this is rub your hands together with glee time. But out in front, Clément Autran, 1.4 clear of the former winner of this event, Danny Carinini, looking very strong indeed. The VDK driver finally in his element and able to put on a bit of a show where he can be confident about his current pace. It's been a long time coming, actually, for Clément Autran. He's had his opportunities snatched away from him many times over. Let's not forget that he has obviously had a heat win already so far this week, so to get another one on the board at this critical stage of the event is quite an important one to do, and it certainly gives him a really good chance to cement his position towards the sharp end. He comes off the final couple of corners and out onto the main straight again, and Clément Autran will see the checkered flag, and that is a big relief for the young Frenchman. Clément Autran definitely putting himself into a great position here with 9 points accumulated. He is 4th in the rankings now, behind Ian Eichmann's on 3 and Gus Lawrence on Sam Shaw on 7. So very good work indeed from the Frenchman Clément Autran, who probably wasn't thinking I'm a favourite coming into this one, but he's certainly looking like a favourite now.
And that's his first win of the weekend. Clément Autran was been in that position earlier into the IMA Euro Series season, picking up super heat wins and qualifying heat wins as well in Franciacorta in round 3 of that competition, as well as in other occasions. So at the final round of Genk as well. So Clément Autran has been really progressing to the ranks of IMA X30 senior category with VDK Racing, and once again taking his first victory here at the IWF. This will be certainly one of the names to keep an eye on in the battle for supremacy, and put himself 4th overall. At this point, as we said many times, those conditions is pretty much wide open in terms of chances. It's about survival every step of the way, and a strong starting position will be, of course, a help for any of those drivers, but at some point, considering that those conditions stay as they are, it will be about the driver's skills to be able to make a difference. Clément Autran picking up his first win of the week from Danny Carinini, Louis Johnson-Cole, Dinus Roscu, Joe Denis, Aaron Garcia, Angelo Meli, Kevin Lantinga, Eli Goldstein, and Diogo Pinto running up the top 10, followed by Lucas Degrange. And we have Langoni, England, Lewis Bird, Colin Cronin, P15, followed by James Shorten, Austin Gale, Lars Venink, Friedrich Cottrell,